Many of you probably won't be surprised to hear that Switzerland is the most mountainous country in Europe. Can you guess which country is the second most mountainous? Hola a todos and welcome to the channel. For those of you who are new, my name's Tyler and I'm an American expat currently living in rural Spain where I teach English. On this channel, I like to document my experiences as an expat living in Europe, so if that sort of thing interests you, be sure to subscribe. On the topic of Spain, a couple months back I made a video called 6 Annoying Things About Spain. And while that video has received its fair share of criticism, I've been impressed with the way my Spanish viewers have taken these sort of critiques in stride. Of course, if I had nothing but bad things to say about the country, I wouldn't choose to live here, especially not for as long as I have. With the new year quickly approaching, I think it's a good idea to end 2021 on a positive note, which is why today I'm going to share with you 12 things that I love about Spain. To kick things off on our list of 12, I'd like to begin with the diversity of the country. Prior to moving to Spain, I thought Basque was a type of fish, and I was pretty sure that Catalan was some sort of board game. But over the course of the past 3 years of visiting and since living in Spain, I've learned that Basque and Catalan are actually 2 of the 5 official languages spoken here in Spain. In addition to these 5 official languages, there are also many other regional languages and a multitude of dialects. And the diversity of Spain doesn't stop with the language. In each of its 17 autonomous communities, you'll find cultures and traditions that are unique to that area. For example, in Asturias, the most common thing to drink is not beer or wine, but cider or sidra, as they call it there. And they've got this really elaborate way of pouring it where they hold the bottle really high. The Iberian Peninsula, which of course includes modern-day Portugal as well as Spain, has been the site of so many different kingdoms and conquests, and it's changed hands so many times, which creates these different areas of culture throughout the country today. During my first year as a teacher here in Spain, I really couldn't travel to many places at all because of the COVID restrictions. But being able to travel around the country felt in many ways like traveling internationally, which is why Spain's many regions and cultural diversity are the first thing I love about this country. The second thing I love about Spain is its diverse geography. And in many ways, it's this diverse geography that has led to so many distinct cultural identities within this one country. For instance, I live in northern Extremadura, which borders Castilla y León. Castilla y León is directly to our north, and we're not only separated by a political border, but by a geographical barrier being the Sistema Central, the central mountain range here in Spain. There are so many different types of geographies here in Spain. Many of you probably won't be surprised to hear that Switzerland is the most mountainous country in Europe. Can you guess which country is the second most mountainous? It's not Italy or Germany or Austria, but Spain. That's right, Spain is the second most mountainous country in all of Europe. When I thought of Spain prior to visiting, I thought of hot weather and the beach. I had no idea that Spain was home to world-class skiing, abundant forests, rolling green hills, and of course, golden plains. Spain really does have everything, including a desert region that has been the site of many American Western films. The third thing I love about Spain are the persianas. Of course, it's very common to find curtains or even shutters around the world, but prior to coming to Spain, I had never come across this sort of system to block out daylight, and it's extremely effective. The way persianas work is that they completely cover the window area from the outside. And unlike with blackout curtains, there's nowhere for the light to leak. So it creates a totally light sealed room. It's with these persianas that you can make your room pitch black in the middle of the day, which is really important for the fourth thing I love about Spain, which is the siesta. I'm the type of person that needs my rest. If I don't have 8 or even 9 hours of sleep, I really can't think properly. And I love that here in Spain, taking a siesta, having a rest in the middle of the day is so commonplace. I often felt like back in the States, if I laid down for a nap in the middle of the day, I was wasting time. But here it's so culturally accepted and even encouraged, and I really do feel like it's beneficial for me. Now, I don't always take advantage of the siesta, and neither do a lot of Spaniards. It's typically more something you do during those long, hot summer afternoons where it's too brutal to go outside. But I do like that it's an option, and I do take advantage of it at times. Speaking of persianas and siestas, the fifth thing I love about Spain is the length of light during each day. So many of you probably associate Spain with sun, and you're not wrong, although as I mentioned before, Spain is very diverse geographically and climatically as well. You will find a wide range of climates in this country. For example, the northwest of Spain, Galicia, Cantabria, Asturias, is very much like the northwest portion of the United States. Think Seattle, Oregon. You're going to get a lot of cloudy and rainy days. However, I'd say from about the middle of Spain down and the entire western portion, you will find a lot of sun. But that's not quite what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is Spain's position in the time zone. So Spain is on European Central Time. It's in the same time zone as Paris, Berlin, even places as far east as Vienna, Budapest, or Prague. Spain is also, of course, quite a lot further south than these countries. And the result of that is really long days. For example, we're just about a week away from the shortest day of the year. However, the sun still doesn't set until about 6 o'clock. At the peak of summer, it didn't get dark until almost 10. And I absolutely love that. It really allows me to maximize the things I can do outdoors during my day. The sixth thing I love about Spain are las piscinas naturales, or the natural swimming pools. Those of you who are watching from Texas might think about floating the river in San Marcos or something like that, but the Spanish natural swimming pools aren't quite the same. During my time here this summer, I got to experience these swimming pools and I enjoyed them thoroughly. It seems like in just about every small town across Spain, you'll come across a natural river or spring that's dammed off to create a natural swimming pool. Here in northern Extremadura, the majority of these places can be found in the mountainous areas where the water comes directly from the mountains. This water is so refreshing in the peak of summer, and it pairs nicely with a cold cerveza. It makes for an excellent, free way to spend a summer day. Sticking with natural attractions, the seventh thing I love about Spain is the Camino de Santiago, or the Way of St. James, is actually a collection of routes which all lead to the northwestern city of Santiago de Compostela. This summer, I walked the Camino Frances, or the original route, from Pamplona to Santiago, and then I actually continued on to Finisterre, which is the westernmost point in Spain. At a pace of about 30 kilometers a day, I walked through 4 different comunidades or provinces here in the country, and I got to experience it so thoroughly. I felt like I understood this country so much more after walking the Camino de Santiago. Originally a religious pilgrimage, today the Camino de Santiago is walked for all different types of reasons. And for anyone who's interested in getting to know more about Spain and its culture, and who also likes doing their fair share of hiking or trekking, I highly recommend walking at least a portion of the Camino. The eighth thing I love about this country is the food. So I'm not just talking about tortilla de patatas or croquetas, I'm talking about the way in which people eat. I've talked a lot about tapas, and I'm still fascinated by this culture. I absolutely love this part of living here in Spain. Going out for a drink and receiving this small plate of food for free with each drink you order. The other part of the dining experience that I really like is the daily menu. So back in the States, I would never go out for a 3-course meal. I mean, it's actually pretty rare that I would even go out to a restaurant at all back in the States. But here in Spain, about once or twice a month, I'll go out for a daily menu, which is a 3-course lunch. You get a starter, an entree, a dessert, and at least a glass of wine, if not an entire bottle of wine. Back when I was walking the Camino de Santiago, I was served an entire bottle of wine with my daily menu on multiple occasions. Be careful if you get so lucky. These daily menus can range anywhere from 8 to 15 euro, with about 12 being the average. But remember, this is Europe, so tipping culture really isn't a thing. So imagine getting out the door, having eaten an entire 3-course menu with drinks for just 12 or 13 bucks. That's hard to beat. Moving right along, the 9th thing I love about this country is the history. As I mentioned earlier, the Iberian Peninsula has changed hands many times over the centuries. The Romans, the Moors, and many different kingdoms have laid claim to this land, and it's prevalent today. Of course, all over Europe, you're going to find a lot of historical significance, but I've never been to a country where the historical areas are still in use today like they are quite like in Spain. For example, as I've mentioned in a previous video, my apartment is actually built into the 12th century Old Town Wall, and behind that wall, the historic district of this town is still the beating heart of it. In fact, I'd say I spend 90% of my time in this Old Town area. I do my shopping there, I work there, my school is also built into the Old Town Wall, and I go out and socialize in that area as well. The fact that I can live my daily life in a place that looks like a scene from some sort of medieval film is absolutely fascinating. The 10th thing I love about this country is the language. Prior to teaching English in Spain, I lived in the Czech Republic, and prior to that, I lived for a short time in South Korea. I found both of those languages really difficult to learn, and to be honest, they didn't interest me nearly as much as Spanish did. That's what prompted my move to this country. Since arriving in Spain, I have improved my Spanish quite a bit, and it's because I've enjoyed learning each day. Spanish is a beautiful language, and I find it really rewarding to learn a little bit more each day. So if you've ever considered learning Spanish, I highly encourage you to start today. Make it a New Year's resolution, why don't you? The 11th thing I love about this country is the people. Now, of course, I'm generalizing a bit, but as a whole, I've found Spaniards to be really friendly and open and welcoming. Although my Spanish still has a long way to go, I have been able to make several friends entirely in Spanish, and I think that speaks a lot more to the Spanish people than it does to my Spanish speaking abilities. I really do enjoy all of my little interactions with Spanish locals every day. And while I have had some frustrating encounters with bureaucracy, I think that those types of things would happen in any country, and at the end of the day, everyone I've encountered has actually tried to help me, even if they haven't always really been successful in doing so. So I'm very thankful to the Spanish people, and they really have made me feel like a part of their community. Now, the 12th thing I love about Spain is in no way, shape, or form the last thing I love about this country. I just thought I'd round out this particular list with 12 points. When I arrived in Spain, one of the things that I found most surprising was the low cost of living. Now, what do I mean when I say this? For example, my 2-bedroom townhome, which was newly renovated and located right in the city center, cost just 550 euro per month. To put that into US dollars, it'd be about 600 bucks, and I split it with a flatmate. Going out to eat or drink cost a fraction of what it would cost in the States. And things like hotels or buses and trains are all much more affordable than they would be back home. It's this lower cost of living that allows me to feel much more relaxed and not have to stress so much about making money. Rather than going out and trying to make as much money as possible each day, I'm able to live a lifestyle that I find far more rewarding. For the past year and a half, I've lived in Spain, and I have to say, although I've had some struggles with Spanish bureaucracy, I do absolutely love this country. If you're considering visiting or even moving to Spain, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe because I'm uploading new content at least once a week. For my Spanish viewers, gracias para verlo y tengo planes para hacer uno en español muy pronto. So stay tuned and I'll see you soon.